And we're back. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Raw Obsidian Podcast. My name is Kris. I'm a maker here. I like to talk about knitting, spinning, sewing, quilting, etc. on this channel. I get up to a lot of crafting. So if it's your first time here, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, stoked to have you back. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry at Obsidian Brad. You can also find my making centered Instagram at Raw Obsidian Knits, and on the making app at Raw Obsidian Knits. It's been a minute. I have been having a busy summer, but trust, I have been filming little snippets here and there of my travels. So at the end of the video, I will be putting up some cool footage that I took while out camping with my family, etc. Yeah, so like I said, busy summer. Jordan's sibling Sophie came to visit from France, and that was really fun, and we had lots of friends rolling through and staying at our house. And my kiddo Zaz is definitely in full toddler mode, and that just kind of happened out of the blue, so there's that. Just so much has been going on. It is often very hard for me to keep track of everything. But here we are, filming the podcast, here to show you what I've been making while all the chaos has been taking over my life. And honestly, I'll take it, because last summer was really short, and this past winter and spring was really long. So we really took full advantage of getting out and getting away. And in turn, I have not been very good at keeping up with social media, but I have been pretty good with trying to keep filming stuff for the podcast. So there's that. I do have some exciting things to share with you today, knitting-wise and quilting-wise, as well as some fun acquisitions to share. Yeah, so let's get into what do I want to get into? So with that, let's get into finished objects. So I have 3 finished objects. The first, in the last episode, I was working on my second Summer Secret crop by Jessie Maed Designs, and I finished my baby alpaca and silk crop using Big Sky Fibers Metalico in the color Platinum. I still have to weave in some ends, and I still need to steam this baby, but I opted to do a crossback. I don't know if you can see it very well because it's like really weird. Crossback always just sits weird in the hands when you try to hold it up. But this is a crossback one. I brought the neckline down a little bit because the other one was really high, which was fine, but sometimes you just don't want something sitting up that high on your neck. This is extremely soft and it feels so good on. definitely not a summer crop, even though it says summer crop in the pattern name. This is definitely something that I'm going to be wearing in the winter time to keep myself warm. It does snow here in the Grand Ronde Valley, so yeah, very nice, very fun, super soft. It's got this nice halo to it. Very cute. Very, very cute. I'm very happy with it. And I know it's going to look a lot better once I steam block it. So that's that. Next on my finished objects is one of two of the Knitting Badge Neckercheif, which is like by Niklas Knits. And I was definitely heavily influenced by Maria of Woolen Forest, and so I needed to make one. And so this one is for my kiddo Zaz, and I used 2 different yarns held together for this. They are mystery yarns. I could not tell you what they were because they came out of my stash, much like everything I've been knitting is just out of my stash. It's not because I'm trying to be sustainable or intentional. It's literally just because your boy is broke. And so you knit with what you have. And you know, that's just the sign of the times. The economy is in the garbage. Therefore, homie cannot afford to buy yarn all the time like before. But it doesn't mean I'm having less fun. If anything, I'm having more fun and pushing myself to think out of the box and think creatively about the yarn that I have in my stash. And so this is the result, and I love the way these colors look so much. I love the way they look. The second one I made is also 2 separate yarns held double from my stash. I still need to weave in the ends, but this one is for myself, and I knitted it a little bit bigger using size 10, US size 10 needles. I can't remember the millimeter size for that, but super fun. Obviously I still have this super long end and the top end to weave in, but this was really fun to knit. And then here are the 2 colors on the, I don't know if you can see it very well, but those are the 2 colors I used, and they just created this beautiful dimension of colors when I knit this. I am knitting a triad of these, so one for me, one for my kiddo, and I'm knitting one for my husband. So when we go to the pumpkin patch this year, we can all have our knitting badge neckerchiefs and take some really cute family photos. So I'm excited for this. I know that for a fact it's literally just going to be family photos and no one is ever going to wear these. Maybe Zaz will wear this. This is almost like a little tiny shawl for Zaz, which is so cute. I keep trying to get Zaz to take a photo with this on, but it's been so hot. It's been in like the hundreds here, or the 90s, and that's in Fahrenheit, and about 40 degrees, 43 degrees Celsius in between. So it's just been like horrible here, and I don't want to make Zaz take photos with wool on if she doesn't want to. So yeah, I got these 2 finished. I haven't decided what the third one should be. I know Jordan likes green. We'll see. I gotta peep at my stash and see what else I can find to make the third knitting badge neckerchief. I will definitely think about making more of these for Christmas gifts. We'll see. yeah. And then I was working on my Hinterland dress using this fabric. Oh, that's the back side. Whoops. Using this fabric. And I love this fabric. But I've come into a bit of a situation with my Hinterland. And it is definitely an issue with the bodice. And mostly, not even just the bodice, it's the arms. I measured myself fairly well. I did a few different measurements just to double check. I even I don't know about you, but just a resting bust measurement doesn't do it for me. So I usually like to take a deep breath, and that it makes your rib cage expand a little bit more, and then take that measurement of an expanded rib cage, just so I can make sure that I have enough room to actually breathe and do normal things. And usually in the bust it's fine when I do that. And the size is correct in the skirt, but the shoulders are not it. And even in my mock-up using muslin, it's a little tight, but it was fine because I did cap sleeve or the short sleeve version, and it was fairly comfortable to wear, and so I wasn't feeling icky about it. But when I decided to do the 3/4 sleeve instead of the cap sleeve, holy crap, y'all. It really sucked. The arms came out tighter fitting, and I didn't change anything. I did everything exactly the same, and it's just the arms are just too fitted, and the elbow is so tight when I bend my arm. And I even added a little bit, I think a 5/8, almost a 1/2 inch of seam allowance, just so I could do French seams, because I just wanted it to be really nicely finished. I didn't want any fraying or anything, because the fabric I chose does fray a little bit. And even with the additional seam allowance to accommodate the French seam, it was still too tight. And that was with and I'm even doing the button placket, and with the button placket it was too tight. I don't know where I went wrong. So I'm just I wonder if the sleeve threw it off, because literally once I ripped the sleeves off of my bodice, the bodice was once again fine. So I'm assuming that it was in the sleeve. And I even re-sewed the sleeve back on, did the gathers for the ease, really pretty much the same, and very carefully, and it still came out the same after doing it twice. So I'm a little irritated. I don't know if anyone's had the same issue when adding longer sleeve length to the Hinterland dress. I think I might just go up in the bodice 2 sizes, because I do a lot of ease in my bodice. Let's be real. So I might just go up 2 sizes in the just in the bodice, to accommodate just having bigger sleeves. I don't know, maybe I'm just buff. I don't know. It was really frustrating, and it truly bummed me out, because I really like this fabric, and there was a limited amount of this fabric. I got it secondhand. So now I can't use it for my Hinterland unless I want to make a Frankenstein bodice, which I don't know. I might just set it aside and revisit it when I'm less frustrated with my Hinterland. I did move forward with making the bottom piece a skirt. But now I'm even like thinking about ripping out the skirt panel that I made for the elastic band and trying again to remedy the sleeve situation. I don't know. You know, bodies are all different, and so not everyone can accommodate the changes of or the differences in people's bodies. I mean, and you know, it's just like, I'm a petite person, and the fact that this like didn't fit me is just like mind blowing to me. So I can only imagine, because they have other sizes for people who are bigger, and I'm just wondering, like, are y'all coming across the same issue? Is it like the drafting of the pattern? Because I've seen people who are larger size say like, this is not meant for people with larger bodies. And even though it's drafted in a larger size, I don't know. If you do wear a larger size, let me know. If anyone has any hacks for the 3/4 sleeve, let me know. I've seen many successful people with the pattern, but I just like, I'm a little blown away, a little confused as to where it went wrong. So if you have some sage advice, let me know, because I really want this dress to work. It's super cute and it's right up my alley style wise. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm real bummed about it, y'all. It just bums me out. Anyways, that's another whip that is like disappointing. Yeah, it is what it is. But you know what? It's August now, which means we are getting into crunchy leaf, spicy drink, pumpkin season, which is my personal favorite season. Fall, autumn, we love it. We're here for it. We stan a basic bitch fall. We really do. So, of course, that means it's sock knitting season, y'all. Socks. 'Tis the season. And so what I did was I decided that to kick off sock season, I would purchase myself a pair of 9-inch Chaigu circular needles in, what is this needle size? 1.5 or 2.5 millimeter needles for knitting socks, and I cast on a pair of socks last month because I was like, you know what, August is coming up, we need to get our life with the sock knitting. So here we are. Here is the socks that I'm working on. It took me a minute to figure out these 9-inch circular needles because they are so tiny and they are so cute, but it's looking good. I've got the hang of it. I even figured out that I can do all of the things and turn my heel and all of that without having double pointeds or anything like that. So we are good. We are great. Everything is awesome. Nothing sucks. Everything worked out super good. So here is my sock number 1, unblocked, in this really fun color to commemorate lovely Leo season. Hot pink, orange, yellow, fuchsia. We love it. And here is the yarn itself in some kind of weird tangle. That's what happens, I guess, in my current situation of stuff. But yep, I'm on sock number 2. I've kind of hit a wall, but only because I'm really working hard on something else. But yeah, I'm working hard on I have other whips, you know, like, you know, and it's not all of the whips are knitting, you know. But yeah, this sock fits really well. I also have very tiny feet, so and I like my socks to be a little short, but this feels really good. And knitting on circular 9-inch meat needles is like super nice. I mean, I'm just like, I'm very happy. And, you know, it makes me excited. I don't have to jumble around a bunch of stuff, but I will say that stuffing it in my project bag is really hard because it's not hard, it's just I often try to, like, you know, push the stitches back a little bit so they can like stay on the needle when they're stored, but I need little like needle tips for storage because yeah, it just they fall off sometimes and it really sucks. I think that's the only downside that I've found for 9-inch circulars. So yeah, I've got one sock done, one sock in the works. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't share this with finished objects, but I made myself a little project bag, and this was like a little like, it's nothing fancy, and I really didn't plan this out. It was just I want to sit down and sew something situation, and so I have this nice little contrast in the bag. It could be reversible, but here's the fabric from the inside, and then the fabric for the outside is this like really cute foresty blue color with some pink. It's super cute, and I just used some like cotton twine, and it's not graceful by any means. It was just I want a new project bag that's cute and it motivates me to knit socks, and this was it. So yeah, that's that. And of course I'm like tangling this to high heaven. Yeah, this is a nice sock project bag. I use this a lot. I made a little matching zipper pouch that goes to this to store like pens and things, and often I just hand it to Zaz while we're like at like a coffee shop or something, so they can just pull out pens and play with the zipper pouch. But yeah, I got both of these fabrics came in like a 6 fabric pack for quilting, like fat quarters for quilting, and so I just used those for my project bag, and I still have more of those fat quarters left over, so I might make another project bag, but like with the intention of it actually looking nice and not like I sewed it during nap time. But that's one whip. And then another whip that I have is a quilt. So I started, this also goes into acquisitions a little bit, but I'll talk about that in a bit. So I have this fabric, and I'm starting to make some disappearing 9-patch quilt squares. And so it starts off where and it's very random. A lot of the fabric is random, but I'm starting out with like, you know, knitting strips of 3, and so you make the 9-patch. I'm in the process of making this one right now, so I'll explain how this works. So here's my 9-patch, and you just put all of them together, and they all match fairly well. And so once you've sewn all of these together, you cut them in half one way and in half the other way. And so you can see when you do half and half, they come out, the halves will have these 2 panels, and the center panel will make multiples. So this is how they would probably line up, is that this direction. So this is just half of one half. That's what the top half would look like, and then you cut it in half again, and then you have 2 of these. And so it looks really cool. I'm doing them all random, And here's one of these. This is probably one of my favorite squares because there's this batik fabric right here. And it looks super good. Here's the back side so you can see what I've done with the seams. I've just pressed them open. Sometimes you can press them towards the darker edge, but I'm just really feeling like I don't want to do that. I just kind of want to split these babies open and keep going. So I have a whole stack of these disappearing 9-patch tiny squares. I am going to mosaic the crap out of them. And this is just the beginning. And I'm going to put them together, and this is going to be my very first quilt. And that's not a quilt that I'm going to use for a quilt coat or a quilt that I'm going to use for a bag. All of these are going to just be arranged in a specific way. I haven't figured out how, but I have my gingham picnic tablecloth hung up on my closet, and that's where I use the grid of the gingham to lay them all out and figure out where I want everything to go before I sew all of the quilt squares together. And so this is what they're looking like. I'm so excited about this project. It's been super fun. A nice little palette cleanser for, I don't know, it's addicting is what I'm trying to get at. Quilting is addicting. When you get started and you have like a sewing group like mine, which is just full of all of these amazing, talented women who share knowledge and they share tools and fabric from their stash with you, like how could you not get into it? It's very similar to the knitting community, but with fabric. And so like it's been really great. So I'm just kind of sewing through all of these squares that I've acquired and creating many disappearing 9-patch quilt squares so that I can make my first quilt. The goal is to finish this quilt before or by November so that it is ready for the cold season. And I'm very excited about it. So that's that. Fun quilt stuff. And my final whip, which I'm very excited about, which I unfortunately also have been battling having some time to knit on because mom duties and constant visits from family and traveling. I digress, but it is a wonderful whip. I'm super excited about it. I am sure all of you who watch here most likely watch Rebecca of the Crayabea Knitting Podcast. And if you don't, you should, because she's super sweet and has a lot of fun things to chat about on her knitting podcast. Her podcasts are usually about an hour long, which I love because then I can just knit or spin particularly for a while and just listen to her chat about all the cool things that she's up to and all the projects that she's working on. But yeah, she did a test call for her beautiful Cargill sweater and I applied, not thinking that I was going to get in or anything, because I've never done a test knit in my entire freaking life. So this is my first test knit, and it's exciting because I actually got into the group to do the test knit, and here is my Cargill sweater in the making. Here we go. Here is, I hope you can see the stitch pattern. I'm using a pattern calls for mohair to be held with fingering weight yarn. And I'm not doing the mohair because A, I have a toddler, and B, my sweaters need to be durable and toddler proof. And mohair beautiful, silky, luscious mohair will just get ruined by sticky peanut butter and jelly fingers. And that would devastate me, especially after working so hard on it. So I opted for a fingering weight yarn. It is definitely 100% wool. In this yarn is definitely from the Woolery. I don't know what the dye-lot is, but I had enough in a sweater quantity in my stash, and I almost purchased new yarn for this test knit, but I knew for a fact that I had some of this yarn in my stash. Or I should say I knew that I had enough yarn in a sweater quantity in my stash for this project. So I chose this yarn, and it is looking really good. I am in the yoke building portion of Cargill, but just look at that stitch pattern. And I know it looks super, super difficult for those of you who have probably been admiring Rebecca's Cargill sweater from the moment of the first swatch. It does look complicated, but trust me, it is super simple and really addictive. And also just the construction of the sweater itself is also really simple and honestly brilliant. So don't be afraid to try to dip your toe in Cargill waters and give this a shot when the test knit is over and when this is live and ready to knit. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I am definitely planning on knitting another one for myself with yarn, because this is the last sweater quantity. No, I don't think so. I don't think this is the last sweater quantity. But I will be knitting another one of these. And I do want to knit one with some mohair, but I will probably start knitting it after I finish this one and when this pattern goes live. But I mean, all of us in the test knitting group want to knit another one, and I think Rebecca is also working on a Cargill Junior for the kiddos, which really has me excited because I want Zaz. Zaz needs a new sweater, and like something cute like this would just be absolutely adorable for Christmas. So yeah, I'm working on this. I need to work on it when I'm not caring for Zaz, because I just I don't know. It's not a difficult pattern, but I just get if it's not a mindless knit and I'm with my kid, I will just forget exactly what I was on, what round I was on, etc. So this is my focus knit, and I enjoy every moment knitting on it. Everyone in the test group is so sweet and so nice, and it's really made my first test knitting experience really, really easy. And Rebecca is just so sweet and willing to answer questions and everything. So if she ever does a future test knit, I highly recommend doing a test knit with her, because it really is so nice and not intimidating at all, which is really great. But yeah, this has been really fun to knit on. Here is the yarn cake right now, so you can actually see the dimensions of the yarn. It is kind of bluish. It's showing up a little bluish on the camera. There is definitely a blue hue, but this is more of an emerald green color, which is really nice. I'm excited to have this in a full sweater. I think it would look really great for the winter and the fall. All right, so that is my last whip, Cargill sweater. Really excited about it. I hope you are too. Yeah, so let's get on to acquisitions. So, as I mentioned earlier, I was working on a quilt, and part of working on that quilt means that I acquired fabric for said quilt. So, currently my neighbor on today, right now, while I'm filming this, is having a yard sale. And her mom, who is also part of our knitting group, or not knitting group, our sewing quilting group, brought out a bunch of these mystery 5-inch square packs for quilting. And they came in these little bags. They're marked for $3, but I gave her $3. Well, they're marked for $3 each, I should say. And I gave her $3 and she's like, take 5. So I took 5 of these mystery square packs for $3. I love a good score for some quilting. So there's these like green fabrics. It's literally like a little bit of everything. All of that. It's got these like beautiful batik fabric. Just like really fun, beautiful. Some of it's vintage, some of it's not vintage. I'm using as much of this as possible to create my quilt. And here's some of the squares that I used for the quilt without being put together. And yeah, so I have this giant stack of squares on top of other fabric that I have for quilting. So I've got maybe some quilted project bags in here, on top of whatever else I use for my quilt. So I'm very excited about this. Or maybe all of this is going into my quilt. Who knows? But yeah, for $3 I got all of this fabric, which is wild to me because it's all really high quality. I'm very happy about it. So this is one acquisition that I got from Nancy. The second one I got from her, she just practically gave it to me because she's just like, I just want stuff to go, is this beading loom. And it's got little grooves in it for said stuff, and you know, all of the things for wrapping up the warp. And then you just kind of like lift the beads in between the warp, and you got your needle and you thread it through and do the same thing again with beads. I'll even toy around with regular weaving. I don't know if it'll work with regular weaving, but you know, I brought something to play with. Nice little loom of sorts. It's got this cute little stand, so you can just props up a little bit back there. So there's that. Another Judy, who's been selling some fabric also at the yard sale, gifted me this really cute jersey or like stretchy plaid fabric. It's really ridiculous and I love it so much. I'm going to try to make Zaz a little jumpsuit and maybe a matching hat, because what the heck, this is so cute. Or like maybe I'll make a jumpsuit for myself, another Clyde jumpsuit out of this fabric. It's just super fun. But yeah, or just like a project bag. Who knows? Who knows? The possibilities are endless. This is super cute. I'm going to use it for something. And then I also got this like box of sewing notions. We got needles. We got rainbow bias tape. A little vise to help with stuff. Thimbles. Iron-on patches for mending. There's chalk in here. There's these cute little white buttons. Like there's also these like brass notions for overalls that I could use. Wow, these are like some super old stitch markers. machine. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's little leather needles for my sewing machine, which is super awesome. And embroidery floss. No, embroidery needles, not floss. There's just so much in here, and I'm very excited about it. So that was for my neighbor Bridget. She's just going through her stuff and said, do you want any of these sewing notions? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take anything fun and sewing related for free. Even yarn, even fabric or wool. I'll take it all. I'll put it to use. Yeah, so those are my acquisitions. Yeah. Do I have anything else? I don't think so. I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. And I look forward to sharing more on this quilt that I'm making. And I don't know, just kind of doing the thing. What I'm really looking forward to is showing y'all my finished Cargill sweater, because I really want to wear it. And it already looks so cute, even though it's like it's like a little, it's so small. It's so cute. But yeah, that's it. Wow. Okay. I honestly thought I'd have so much more to say and much more to share, but apparently I don't. Yeah, so that is that, y'all. I hope you have a lovely rest of your summer. We're getting to the close of summer, which is kind of nuts to think about. What the heck? Yeah, have a lovely summer. I hope you hang out with your family or your friends a lot more. I hope you get a lot of making done. And I hope you share it with all of us here on the internet, where we can all connect to each other. If you liked this video, hit that thumbs up. It really helps me out. And subscribe if you want to keep hanging out virtually here on YouTube. Yeah, that's it. I don't know why I keep spacing out. That's it. I will see y'all in the next video. Happy making!
Hinterland.